Hello, and welcome to Bedtime Stories with Mozart. This is a podcast designed to help young ones fall asleep. As a group of youth musicians, we are passionate about exposing others to classical music. Each episode, we will read a bedtime story, followed by a short excerpt of a calming selection of classical music. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Today, I will be reading Sam Loses Her Slipper by Eian Tsou. Prologue. Sam is an 8-year-old girl. Sam loves to do many things, such as dancing, singing, dressing up, and playing with Barbies. She also loves cooking, swimming, and sleeping. However, the one thing that she adores the most is her slippers. She cannot live without them. She always takes time out of her day simply just to hold and admire her slippers before gracefully putting them on. They are golden, beautifully and masterfully crafted, and they glimmer in the light. On the soles of the slippers, it spells out her name gorgeously in cursive. Not only that, but these slippers are also covered in the rarest fur of all time, unicorn fur. These personalized slippers are what makes Sam happy and what makes every day of hers a bright one. Chapter 1. The Problem. Sam woke up at 8:30 a.m. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. There was not a cloud in the sky as the wind blew in through the window, touching her hair and eyes. She was excited to go to school, but she was more excited to see her beautiful golden slippers. "Sam, time for breakfast," her mom called. Sam sprinted downstairs and was embraced by the scent of freshly cooked bacon and warm stacks of fluffy pancakes. Oh, it was wonderful. It tasted so good that she gargled up all the food in a matter of minutes. Sam had to get ready for school. School started at 9 a.m. sharp, so Sam had to quickly get dressed. She put on her favorite shirt, her favorite pair of pants, and her favorite pair of socks. Finally, it was time to put on her favorite slippers in the whole wide world. She walked over to the closet where the slippers were located, only to find that they were missing. "Oh no! How could this be?" Sam shrieked. She looked everywhere in the closet, frantically rummaging through cabinets, diving through socks, and grabbing at shirts. She dug and dug and dug, but she found nothing. She knew that her slippers were gone. That's when Sam decided to go on the journey of a lifetime. Chapter 2. The Desert. Sam ventured out of her comfy home with hundreds of flyers of her missing slippers. She ventured out far past the city, far past the state, and far past civilization. Her first destination was the desert. She was met with millions of grains of sand and the harsh climate of the desert. The dry environment made the difficult journey even more grueling. However, she mustered up her strength and trudged her feet along to find some help. Finally, out in the distance, she saw a rattlesnake. "Hi, Mr. Rattlesnake. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" she asked as she held up one of her flyers. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the rattlesnake said. Bummed, she continued walking. A few hours later, she met a big two-humped camel. "Hi, Mr. Camel. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" she asked as she held up one of her flyers. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the camel said. Bummed once again, she continued walking. Another few hours later, she came face to face with a scorpion. "Hi, Mrs. Scorpion. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" she asked as she held up one of her flyers. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the scorpion said. Bummed once again, she held her head down as she walked away. "Maybe I'll find some luck in the rainforest," she thought to herself. Chapter 3. The Rainforest. As she walked the many miles to the rainforest, her hope slowly began dwindling. But she could not give up. She entered the wet and sticky climate of the rainforest. The air was dense, and it was difficult to breathe. Thick leaves and long branches constantly pricked and poked her. Just her luck, it also happened to be raining. "Oh, bummer," she yelled. As she trudged along in the thick mud of the rainforest with her clothes soaking wet, she came across a big orangutan with a thick coat of orange hair and a stocky build. "Hi, Mr. Orangutan. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" she asked as she held up one of her flyers. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the big orangutan said. Bummed, she continued trudging in the mud. Then she came across a brightly colored frog, embodying blue, red, orange, and yellow hues. She walked up to the leaf where the frog was sitting and said, "Hi, Mr. Frog. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" holding up one of her flyers. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the colorful frog said. Bummed once again, she continued walking. While Sam moved on, she stumbled across a big-beaked toucan. "Hi, Mr. Toucan. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" she asked as she held up one of her flyers. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the big-beaked toucan said. Bummed once again, she decided to leave the rainforest. "Maybe, just maybe, I'll have more luck in the Arctic," she thought to herself. Chapter 4. The Arctic. As she came up to the border of the Arctic, she could feel the intensely cold climate. Her arms were shaking, her legs were shaking, and her teeth were chattering. As she shivered her way through the ice, she found a fluffy polar bear. "Hi, Mr. Polar Bear. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" she asked as she held up one of her flyers. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the fluffy polar bear said. Bummed, she shivered away from the polar bear, looking for more help. Then, all of a sudden, she heard some noise near the water. She walked over and found a cute little seal. "Hi, Mrs. Seal. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" she asked as she held up one of her flyers. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the cute little seal said. Bummed once again, she waddled away from the seal. Later on, as she climbed some rocks, she was met with a sharp-tusked walrus. "Hi, Mr. Walrus. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" she asked as she held up one of her flyers. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the sharp-tusked walrus said. Bummed once again, she began making her descent from the Arctic. Clinging on to what little hope she had left, she thought to herself, "Maybe, just maybe, my luck lies with the ocean." Chapter 5. The Ocean. As she made her way to the ocean, she could smell the saltiness of the water. She put on a swimsuit, attached her goggles, strapped in her oxygen tank, and jumped into the ocean. As she began swimming, she eventually came into contact with a fish. "Hi, Mrs. Fish. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" she asked. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the fish said. Bummed, she continued swimming through the ocean. Luckily, it wasn't long before she saw a majestic sea turtle. "Hi, Mrs. Sea Turtle. Have you seen my favorite slippers?" she asked as she held up one of her flyers. "No, dear. I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere," the majestic sea turtle said. Bummed once again, she continued to push through and continued swimming around. Finally, she came face to face with a massive Great White Shark! Hi, Mr. Great White Shark. Have you seen my favorite slippers? She asked as she held up one of her flyers. No, dear, I'm afraid I have not seen those slippers anywhere, the massive great white shark said. Bummed once again, she decided that the journey was over. She would never find her slippers again. All hope was lost, and immediately Sam lost all confidence in herself. I give up. My favorite golden slippers are gone. No one can help me, and the journey is finished, she yelled. Or so she thought. As she began the very, very long journey home, wiping tears off of her face, she went through every single biome she had been in, passing by every single animal. She went by the ocean, the Arctic, and the rainforest, when, all of a sudden, in the desert, she found a clue. It was some unicorn fur from the slippers. Sam knew the looks of the slippers in the back of her head, and she knew that that fur was indeed from the slippers. Filled with excitement and buzz, she began frantically digging through the sand. She knew the slippers had to be here, and that they had to be close. The sun was going down, and she did not have much time before it would be night. So she dug even faster, and faster, and faster, until, finally, she found it. There it was, the golden slippers that she had been longing for. She couldn't believe her eyes. She cried tears of joy as she dusted the sand off of the slippers and put them on. They still fit perfectly. She kneeled down and squealed with excitement as she had finally achieved her goal. I did it, she yelled. And from there on, she felt happy forever. Thanks for listening. Be sure to remember to follow so you never miss an episode. Good night.